Welcome back to an evening update. My name is Hunter here at Weather on the Go. We are tracking two concerning storms as we head into early March across the United States that will bring some significant severe weather, flash flooding, and some snow as well. And we're going to be breaking it all down for you here on this evening update. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are less than 700 subscribers away from hitting 130,000. You want to help me get there? Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll keep you covered with reliable, accurate weather information right here on this channel. If you do find the video informative throughout, make sure to give a like down below by giving it a thumbs up and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. That's very important as well, as severe weather is a concern. So let's look here at our temperature anomalies that we saw today on Wednesday, February 26th. Warm weather above normal temperature anomalies across much of southern Canada and the lower 48, even down here into northern Mexico today as well. And we look at our low temperatures where we'll wake up Thursday morning on February 27th. Widespread 20s and 30s up here across the north central U.S., but a lot warmer of a start to our day compared to what we saw around a week or so ago. We look at the western U.S., obviously in the higher elevations across the Rockies, we're going to see some cooler air. Same thing there into the Pacific Northwest, the Cascades and the Sierras. Warmer air down here in Southern California and Arizona near Phoenix, San Diego, Los Angeles. We're going to be waking up into the 50s and 60s to start your Thursday, February 27th. Over here into the east, coldest air up there into Maine, northern New Hampshire, and parts of Vermont and northern New York. That's where we're going to have temperatures starting off into the teens and 20s as we go into Thursday morning with a deeper snowpack that can be expected, as a snowpack keeps our temperatures near the surface very cool. But once we get rid of that snowpack, we'll begin to warm up more readily across this region. Areas that don't have snow much on the ground, if any at all, across the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, southward to the Gulf Coast, including Florida, we're going to be seeing lows tomorrow morning into the 40s, even some 50s, maybe even 60s down here in southern Florida. Now, our warm temperatures will not end here on Thursday. We're going to continue to see the warmer air as we go closing out the week on Friday. Now, a backdoor cold front associated with a clipper system that will bring some snow to mostly the upper Great Lakes and southeastern Canada will bring some cooler temperatures down across that region as we go into the weekend for Saturday and Sunday, but that's brief as we build the warmth back in out of ahead of our next big concerning storm system early next week. So let's look at what we have to come over the next few days as far as precipitation is concerned. We do have a rain-snow mix here across parts of the Northeast, mostly rain in the Ohio Valley here down into the Mid-Atlantic where temperatures are much warmer. Note the strong clipper system and the tight isobars up here in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, bringing some snowfall, moderate snow bands at times. So a wind-driven snow up here as we go through the evening. That is going to move into Ontario and then eventually into the upper peninsula of Michigan as we go through the day on Friday. And that could bring some snow into the upper Great Lakes region, southeastern Canada, mostly to southern Ontario, Quebec, and then parts of the Northeast. And this could be a wind-driven snow in these areas as we go into the weekend. And then as we go into the weekend in general, high pressure dominating the east. This is a cooler high pressure, so our temperatures may come down a smidge in the east, but we're building that ridge back up in the west, and our temperatures are going to be warming in a big way out west as we go into the weekend. Now, as far as the thunderstorm activity is concerned, we're not expecting any severe weather as we go into Thursday, just some general garden variety storms here across the eastern Ohio Valley, like Indiana, Ohio, eastern Kentucky into West Virginia, and then down across the southeast, east Tennessee into parts of Virginia, the Carolinas and North Georgia, really just seeing that general garden variety storm activity that could bring some heavier downpours, maybe some cloud to ground lightning, some smaller hail, but nothing severe as we go into Thursday. Now, as we close out the week on Friday, thunderstorm activity beginning to pop up across the central California foothills, southern California, and southwestern Nevada. Again, these are not expected to be severe, just your everyday garden variety type of storms. Heavy rain, cloud to ground lightning, some smaller hail will be possible. Now let's look at the precipitation going through Monday, March 3rd. We're going to be seeing some light precipitation across the parts of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. The Northeast is expected to get the heaviest precipitation here across the eastern U.S., while the western U.S., California, especially northern, central California foothills, and into western Oregon, will see the heaviest heavier rain out across the western U.S. Now, some of this will fall as snow, such as the Sierras out there in California, and then that Clipper system track further to the north could bring a few inches of snow to Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and upstate New York. Where have we seen that, right? It's been all across that area this entire winter. And then further to the north, across Canada, we're talking northern Saskatchewan into especially western Manitoba. That's where we could expect 6 to maybe 8 inches worth of snow, and then more of a 2 to 4 inch variety across parts of southern Ontario, the upper peninsula there, Michigan, and then into southern Quebec with a 2 to 4 inch snow expected through the weekend time frame. Now, we are monitoring our first concerning storm system as we go into early next week. This is for Monday, March 3rd. Big bowling ball trough out here in the Pacific Southwest will eject into the middle of the country as we go into Tuesday, and this could bring a barn burner type of severe weather setup across the Mississippi Valley. We do have a day 7, yes, a week out. The Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma has issued a slight risk. This is a level 2 out of 5 on the risk scale already across East Texas, along and east of the I-35 corridor, southeast Oklahoma, south central portions there of Arkansas. This does include Little Rock, Pine Bluffs there, and then over here into southwest Tennessee, including Memphis, into Mississippi. This includes Tupelo, Yazoo City, Jackson, down here to Natchez and Greenville, and then into Shreveport there, Monroe, maybe as far south as Lake Charles and Baton Rouge there in Louisiana. This area could expand in more widespread variety as we go closer to the storm because we are still 7 days out, and this could get upgraded to an enhanced, possibly a moderate risk if some of those mesoscale details like the moisture return and the wind shear and all of that stuff comes together. That won't be known until we get closer. We do know a little bit, though, about the instability. Now, this will vary a little bit of how far north or south the instability will get. It really just depends on the storm track and how much of a fetch of Gulf moisture that this system has. But it is pushing some instability values as far north as the Hawkeye state of Iowa, the Land of Lincoln here in Illinois, and the Tiger state of Missouri. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. The stronger instability should remain further south near the Gulf Coast into coastal Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. But that is still noteworthy that instability here still in early March could get all the way up into the Midwestern states. Now, let's look at the instantaneous flash rate. This gives you an idea of where the lightning will be as we go into early next week. Here's Monday morning, March 3rd. Notice there's not really much happening here. Going into Monday afternoon, same thing, not much happening. Warm, moist air advection surging to the north could bring us a lot of instability on Monday. Storms could pop potentially back here in an isolated fashion from East Kansas into central and eastern Oklahoma and North Texas. These could be isolated severe storms overnight Monday and into Tuesday. Typically, these overnight setups here, especially with the drought in the western plains, a stronger elevated mixed layer is actually going to give us more of a hail threat. So that would be more of an overnight hail threat. And then going into Tuesday, as that shifts eastward with the cold front, these storms will become more of a squall line with widespread damaging winds with embedded tornadoes, possibly a strong tornado or two out ahead of the main line there. And then some hail as well across portions of Arkansas, Louisiana, East Texas, getting into western Tennessee there and Mississippi. Also watching the triple point up here toward the Midwest. Like we mentioned with some instability up in Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, we could be seeing some rotating storms up there with sleeper type of tornado setup for the southern part of the Midwest. Something to keep an eye on here. Now it is still far out, so let's give you an ensemble here, an average of what the models are showing. This is the GFS ensemble. Notice the storm energy moving in across the west with some heavier snows there for the Sierras on Monday. Notice as we go into Monday afternoon, the low pressure begins to develop in Colorado along the Rockies there. And then as we go into overnight Monday into Tuesday morning, low pressure 994 here is the average in central Kansas. Colder rains potentially on the north side of that warm front up there in Nebraska, Iowa initially, with snow on the cold side on the backside of the storm. And then the cold front begins to develop with some storms there. And this could bring a big warm sector along the Mississippi River Valley here from upper Mississippi River Valley to the mid and even lower Mississippi River Valley, giving us the potential for a severe weather outbreak. We'll have to watch it even as far north as Chicago I think we have the potential for some severe weather, or at least some heavy rain as we go into the middle of the week. The snow line will remain to the north. So the Dakotas, parts of northern Nebraska, Minnesota, northern Iowa, into northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, and then into southeastern Canada for Ontario and Quebec. That's where the snow line will be into next week. Heavy rain from the Ohio Valley into the northeast. Colder air coming in on the backside. Yes, it's still early March. We could see that change over to some snow showers, maybe with a little accumulation on the backside. Now, going into next week, 120 hours out, which is 5 days. This is the 5-day precipitation that we will see in inches. Notice the heaviest across Dixie Alley. That's where the more hefty thunderstorms will be with our severe weather outbreak. But notice up near the low pressure storm track in the southern portion of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, that's where we could also see some hefty rain in the yellows, around an inch and a half up there for places like Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, up there toward Detroit, and the snow line much further north. This could end up being a bigger snow system there for southern Quebec and Ontario, and even parts of the upper peninsula of Michigan, with upwards to a foot of snow if this did verify. Now let's look here at the pattern going into the second week of March. Climatology suggests that severe weather will continue to ramp up as we go deeper into March. We are going to see another big trough coming in, and why I know that is because we're going to see a lot of colder air across the western third of the U.S., a lot of warm air building up out ahead of that again. So we have a trough out west, a ridge out east, and we know that with that type of pattern, that could bring another bout of volatile severe weather to parts of the Mississippi Valley again in similar areas, and a very active pattern is evident here on the ensemble guidance across the west, with the energy coming in out west first and then downstream. This could be a little bit further north than the first system during the first week of March that we see next week, and this could affect more of the Ohio Valley and Midwest with the warm sector of the storm. So that could bring the severe weather threat up to areas of Des Moines, into Chicago, Peoria, St. Louis, over to Kansas City, and Indianapolis potentially into that second week of March. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And then another winter storm with snow and or ice across the Dakotas, northern Nebraska, Minnesota, northwest Iowa, northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula there of Michigan, and then southeastern Canada again, much like we see with the first system. Ontario, Quebec will probably receive the heaviest snow out of that as that slides to the east. Now let's look here at the moisture from that. Another setup with some flash flooding potential. Very saturated soils here near the Ohio River. I know the Ohio River is in flood, will continue to be in flood with these types of precipitation events over the next 2 weeks. So be prepared for the potential for flash flood warnings. Know to seek higher ground when flash flood warnings are issued. We seek lower ground with tornado warnings. It's the opposite for flash flood warnings here. And looking here at the snowfall output, it's more likely that we see the biggest snows across southeastern Canada for Quebec and Ontario, and then interior sections of the northeast, I-95 corridor into the north, and then maybe a few inches of snow up here to the northern plains and the upper Midwest. Obviously out west, the mountains, the Cascades, the Sierras, and the Rockies will get their fair share of snow as well into the second week of March. Yes, a two-hitter here, okay, as we go into early March. First week, we got the first concerning storm. Second week, we got the second concerning storm. Both will have a tendency to produce significant severe weather. So make sure to have your severe weather preparedness plan with your family anywhere across the United States as we enter in climatologically to severe weather season in March and meteorological spring. And be ready for the potential of some snow further north as well. Don't put the snow boots and snow shovels away yet if you live in Minnesota, Wisconsin, or even southeastern Canada. You may need them as we go through the middle of March. We're going to track all this volatility with you with the weather pattern over the next couple weeks and beyond, so make sure to subscribe to my channel. Again, we are less than 700 subscribers away from hitting 130,000. You want to help me get there with a reliable, accurate weather source here on YouTube? Make sure to help me out by subscribing. Like the video, give it a thumbs up down below, and also share this video with friends, family, and on social media, especially if you do find this video informative. I definitely appreciate it. If you want to leave any comments, questions, concerns below, anything weather related, we'll continue to answer questions after the video, and I hope everyone has a safe and wonderful rest of their Wednesday evening out there.